Drake just pulled the plug on his entire tour, and no matter how you spin it, this changes everything. One of the biggest artists in the world just went from sold-out arenas to canceled dates, and the way it all unfolded has fans asking one question: what really happened here? Drake's latest tour was supposed to be a comeback spectacle, but instead, it ended with a quiet cancellation that no one saw coming. After weeks of drama, confusion, and constant reshuffling of dates, the announcement finally confirmed what fans had feared: the shows were not happening. This wasn't just any tour. It was meant to re-establish Drake on the global stage after a rocky year. Yet ticket sales lagged, dates were postponed, and fans were left holding on to hope and tickets for months with no clarity. The official statement cited logistical challenges, but many questioned whether this was the full truth. Why did it take 5 months to tell fans? Why cancel so late? These questions hung heavy as refunds rolled out. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, because what comes next explains why this matters more than ever. This moment isn't just about missed concerts, it's about trust. Fans expected transparency, but what they got was silence. And as this chapter closes, the bigger question looms. How did things spiral to the point where Drake's team had no choice but to pull the plug? Let's dive into how it all started to unravel. The cracks started showing long before the cancellation became official. Tickets for the final 4 shows of the Anita Max Win series struggled to sell, leaving empty seats that no amount of rescheduling could hide. At first, Drake's team postponed the dates, blaming travel logistics. Fans were told the concerts would be moved to a later time, a promise that kept hope alive but also raised doubts. Behind the scenes, promoters scrambled while fans waited, unaware that the shows were already on life support. Months passed with no updates, and speculation grew louder. Was it poor ticket sales, internal scheduling conflicts, or something bigger at play? When the arenas finally announced the cancellations, the statement confirmed what many suspected: rescheduling within the necessary time frame wasn't possible. Refunds were issued, but the way the news was handled left fans feeling abandoned. This wasn't just about losing a night out, it was about feeling misled. The quiet approach to canceling only fueled more questions. Now, as we move to the next chapter, we have to ask, why did Drake's team wait so long? And what does this say about the strategy behind the scenes? Stick around, because the answers reveal a much deeper problem. When the cancellations finally came to light, many pointed to Drake's team and how they handled the situation. Instead of confronting the issue head-on, they tried to quietly remove the shows from the schedule, hoping the story would fade away unnoticed. But in the digital age, nothing stays hidden for long. Fans quickly shared screenshots, refund notices, and statements from venues, exposing the truth. The narrative shifted from simple cancellations to questions about transparency. Why didn't OVO address the situation earlier? Why leave fans in limbo for 5 months? Reports suggest the team wanted to avoid negative optics, but that very delay amplified the backlash. For an artist with Drake's legacy, this was more than a logistical error. It was a PR misstep. The handling of the news, the silence, and the lack of clear communication made fans feel like an afterthought. And when loyalty is tested, even the biggest stars risk losing their core supporters. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, because the next part digs deeper into what these decisions reveal about the current state of Drake's career. Was this just poor planning, or a sign of something much larger unfolding behind the scenes? The moment the cancellations were confirmed, fan reactions exploded across social media. Some were angry about waiting months for answers, others were disappointed but still supportive, and many felt let down by the lack of communication. Refunds eased the financial sting, but the emotional hit remained. This wasn't just a show being canceled, it was a breach of trust for those who had rearranged travel plans and held on to tickets, believing Drake would deliver. At the same time, industry whispers started to spread. Promoters reportedly worried about low attendance numbers, with some insiders suggesting that ticket demand in certain cities wasn't meeting expectations. While official statements never confirmed this, the speculation fueled conversations about whether this was an isolated incident or a sign of shifting momentum in Drake's touring power. Adding to the narrative was the timing. Kendrick Lamar's record-breaking tour and dominance in the headlines made the contrast even starker. The hip-hop world noticed, and comparisons became unavoidable. As fans debated online, one thing became clear: the way this cancellation was handled left a mark. Now the question is, what does this mean for Drake's next moves? Follow along as we break down the cultural impact of this fallout. Tour cancellations happen, but when they involve an artist of Drake's stature, the ripple effect hits the entire culture. This wasn't just about 4 shows, it was about what those shows represented. Drake was stepping back onto the global stage at a time when conversations about legacy, dominance, and the future of hip-hop are louder than ever. The abrupt end of this run gave critics fuel to question whether his momentum is slowing. For fans, it created a sense of uncertainty. Can they rely on future promises, or will last-minute cancellations become the norm? In contrast, Kendrick Lamar's sold-out stadium performances and carefully crafted moments have set a new benchmark for what a hip-hop tour can be. The industry watches these moves closely, and the message is clear. Audiences demand more than star power. They demand authenticity and consistency. Even without direct conflict, this cancellation draws comparisons and shapes narratives around who is leading the culture right now. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, because next, we will dive into how this decision affects Drake's relationship with his fans, and where he goes from here in a climate where expectations have never been higher. For years, Drake's fan base has been one of the most loyal in music, supporting him through every album cycle and tour. But loyalty isn't limitless, and this cancellation tested that bond like never before. Fans who had waited months for updates felt ignored, with many expressing that the silence was worse than the cancellation itself. Loyalty thrives on communication, and in this case, there was almost none. Some fans defended him, arguing that unforeseen issues happened, while others felt their support had been taken for granted. On social media, frustration mixed with disappointment, with posts highlighting how long people waited for refunds or even clear information. Beyond fan reactions, industry analysts started asking whether this would affect future ticket sales. Would fans hesitate the next time a Drake tour is announced? Or would the artist's track record of hit songs and cultural relevance override the bad memory? This chapter underscores a critical truth. Transparency matters, especially when an artist's reputation is on the line. The way this was handled could either be a temporary setback or a warning sign for what's to come. Next, we'll look at how Drake's current challenges tie into the larger narrative surrounding his legacy. Every major artist eventually faces a moment where their legacy is questioned, and for Drake, this cancellation has become part of that conversation. For over a decade, he dominated charts, broke streaming records, and filled arenas with ease. But this incident highlighted a shift. Suddenly, questions about his staying power surfaced. Was this a one-off misstep, or a sign that the era of effortless wins is fading? Industry insiders note that timing played a huge role. The cancellation came during a period when competition in hip-hop is intense, with artists like Kendrick Lamar redefining live performance and raising expectations. Fans and critics alike are comparing how each artist handles pressure, and the contrast is hard to ignore. Still, Drake's influence remains undeniable. Even with the backlash, his music continues to resonate globally. The real challenge lies in how he responds. Will he address the situation head-on, rebuild trust, and remind fans why he's been at the top for so long? Or will silence allow this chapter to define him? This moment doesn't erase his achievements, but it does raise the stakes for what comes next. In the following chapter, we explore how this impacts the broader music landscape moving forward. Drake's tour cancellation didn't just affect his schedule, it sent ripples across the music industry. Promoters, venues, and collaborators now look at future projects with more caution, understanding how even the biggest names can face setbacks. In an era where touring is a major revenue stream, such a move sparks conversations about the sustainability of large-scale shows when ticket demand isn't guaranteed. This moment also reshaped how fans perceive live events. Audiences today expect transparency, value, and experiences that justify the investment. When that expectation isn't met, they're quick to pivot to artists who consistently deliver. Enter Kendrick Lamar, whose flawless Grand National Tour and cultural dominance serve as the gold standard. Industry players see the difference. One artist fighting to maintain momentum, another expanding it effortlessly. Yet this isn't just about competition, it's about a shift in what audiences reward: authenticity, preparation, and connection. Drake still has the platform to bounce back, but this incident reminds everyone that even legends must adapt to changing dynamics. As the music world watches, questions rise about how he'll reassert his influence. Next, we'll break down what steps Drake can take to rebuild trust and reframe the narrative before his next move. With the dust settling, the focus now turns to how Drake can recover from this moment. The path forward isn't about avoiding criticism, it's about confronting it. Fans want to see transparency, not silence. Acknowledging the cancellations directly, whether through an interview or social media, could rebuild the trust that was shaken. Beyond communication, the next tour or project must feel intentional, proving that lessons were learned. Artists who bounce back strongest do so by delivering something that reignites excitement, and Drake has the catalog and influence to make that happen. The industry too is watching closely. Promoters will need reassurance, and future ticket buyers will want confidence that history won't repeat itself. This is where the narrative can shift from a moment of failure to a story of resilience. If Drake pairs honesty with a bold creative move, he can turn criticism into momentum. Fans remember setbacks, but they also remember comebacks. This period will test not just his artistry, but his connection with the people who've supported him all along. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, because in the final chapter, we'll reveal what this saga means for hip-hop as a whole, and where the culture goes next. The cancellation of Drake's tour is more than a personal setback. It's a moment that reflects where hip-hop stands today. Audiences no longer just follow names, they follow experiences that feel authentic. This shift forces every artist, no matter how iconic, to meet higher standards. Drake's situation highlights how quickly narratives can change in an era where social media amplifies every move. At the same time, it shows how fiercely the culture values connection and consistency. While some view this as a sign of decline, it could also be the spark that pushes Drake to evolve and reassert his artistry in a way fans haven't seen in years. On the other side, Kendrick Lamar continues to set the bar, proving that preparation and authenticity win over audiences time and time again. This contrast fuels the conversation about who is truly leading the genre. Hip-hop thrives on competition, and moments like this raise the stakes for everyone. The next chapter of this story hasn't been written yet, but it will shape the culture's direction. What do you think this means for the future of hip-hop? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Drake's tour cancellation isn't just a headline, it's a turning point that could redefine how fans view him and how the industry moves forward. This moment proves that even the biggest names can stumble when expectations aren't met, and the pressure to bounce back has never been higher. Will Drake rise to the occasion, or will this chapter mark the start of something bigger, shifting in hip-hop? What do you think this means for Drake's legacy and the culture as a whole? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you're here when the next big moment drops. And if you want to see how Kendrick Lamar's historic tour is changing the game, check out the video we've linked next.